You're locked into the Womanora Crush Wednesday podcast, the only weekly podcast inspiring, educating, motivating 1 million women entrepreneurs one Wednesday at a time. The WCW podcast is fueled by the Purpose Formula: passion plus purpose plus profit equals success. And here are your hosts, Jen and Modi.
Hey Crushes, you are listening to episode 44. Welcome back to the WCW podcast. This week, our WCW of the Week feature is Asha Tarry, aka the Behavioralist. She is a life coach and psychotherapist and behavior specialist working in the field of mental health, especially targeting women of color and helping women of color. She lives to help create mental clarity and new ways of living on purpose. She focuses on everything from living your most prosperous life to manifesting your dreams. Those are some of the things that we talk to her about and much, much more. Hope you enjoy this episode, Crushes. Let's get into it. Hey, Crushes. This week we are thrilled, super excited to have Asha Tarry. Welcome, Asha, to the Womanora Crush Wednesday podcast.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. The pleasure is ours.
Yes, finally. So can you tell us your Womanora story? You know, like how did you start this life coaching psychotherapist journey?
It's actually a long journey in the making. I was in the mental health field from early 2000s and was working for a couple of not-for-profits over the course of maybe 14 years. And during that time, I had already contemplated becoming a psychotherapist, but I went through some highs and lows with staying in the field and burned out maybe 2 or 3 times during that period. But after, I would say, a couple of courses of just bad experiences working for corporate America and not-for-profits, I just started to give up hope that I wanted to do that for the rest of my life. And although I had reconsidered being a psychotherapist at that time, I started talking to other people who were in private practice, and it really sounded enticing. I spent some time doing some other work in mental health that wasn't associated with direct practice, which gave me some time to recover from, I think, just being burned out those 2 times. And around 2014, I started thinking about going into private practice again, and did the legwork that it takes to file for a business. That was a long, tedious process as well, but once it was solidified and I knew exactly what I wanted to do, I opened up a private practice which started off as a consulting company for mental health for adults 18 and over here in New York, and it just started to take off. Did a lot of social media marketing, doing a lot of Twitter chats in the beginning, just getting my feet wet to see who I really wanted to work with. And over the last 3 years, we've grown, and now we're also providing not only psychotherapy, but life coaching. And we've had a lot of success with both. So I'm happy that we are where we are. We're constantly growing, expanding, bringing on new components to the work, but it's been well worth it. And so I'm both a licensed psychotherapist and a certified prosperity life coach.
Awesome.
You said we, Asha. How big is your team that you're working with?
So it's a small business. It's minority owned, meaning both people of color and women owned. It's me as the sole proprietor, but I have a small team of people that work for me, from an executive assistant to an attorney. We are actually in the process of hiring a new volunteer coordinator to work with us to build out our volunteer component. We're also looking at speaking with a mental health provider, African-American male, so that we can start running some groups for men. So we have a group of different people. We have a photographer, camera guy, everything that we need to work not only in direct practice, but also virtually. So it's probably about a group of 5 of us that are working consistently to build out the work and expand the work. And we have some great people on board that we've met throughout the years that have come back to us through other work that I've done and continue to expand the services and also the practitioners. But right now, it's solopreneur projects and solo practitioner, but that's constantly growing because we're constantly growing.
Right.
Okay. I also wanted to know, how did you go from, you said in the beginning you did a lot of social media marketing, and of course you're still doing that now, but how did you get your first clients, and what specifically did you do on social media that helped you, to get clients that, just came off the street?
We received in the beginning, and I would say the beginning for me is the first couple of years from startup to implementation, we received 100% of clientele from social media. And that started with initially years ago meeting a guy who was a small business and financial coach who I met, I think, in like an AT&T store one day. And we conversed about our different businesses and ideologies regarding social justice and advocacy. And I had a nonprofit at the time, and he recommended that I up my game on social media, especially on Twitter, because our nonprofit was getting a lot of support and attention through our social media. So I was like, I really don't have a fancy for it. He said, well, it's going to help you. You should develop one. He said it's actually a must, not something you should want to do. It's a must that you have to do. And I took his advice slowly but surely, and over the course of one weekend, I did apply myself on Twitter, asking people to follow me, following other people, engaging people. And over a weekend, it grew from like 0 to 100 real followers. And within a year, I went from 0 to 1,000 followers on Twitter, real followers. And I just continued to talk to people, initially just using Twitter as my only platform. This was about 3 or 4 years ago. And I then created a platform for what I wanted to do on Twitter to create a brand awareness for myself. And so I started doing Twitter chats, strictly on mental health. I didn't see other people doing it at the time that were independent practitioners. I did see some organizations and nonprofits, but just as an independent person, a person of color, a woman of color, I started creating Twitter chats. And I literally would do every 6 weeks, 1 hour Twitter chats and engage people. I would market the topic. I would also do a little poll initially and bring people on. And I would do it at a time that folks would tend to be available both on the East and West Coast. And so we did that for about a year, and that helped to grow my following more quickly. And after that, people started inboxing me requests to work with them. Initially, we were doing consultations only and referrals. And after that, I developed a website. I did a lot of email marketing, a lot of mass mailings, a lot of grassroots things. And through that, we just continued to have a really strong media presence with social media. So probably within the last 2 years, maybe 98% still come from social media. Another 2% come from word of mouth referrals. And people now are finding me less necessarily on Twitter because I don't use that as much with regards to my therapy practice, but people will find me oftentimes on Google, which I find fascinating and happy about. They'll do a Google search and find my name. My name will come up. I have a couple of vendors that I'm also listed with and directories that I'm on. So people will find me that way. And so a lot of people, when they contact me, it's more often that they find me through online media searches, and the rest, comes from word of mouth.
Nice.
Very nice. So I noticed, I think when I first even encountered you was through Black Doctor. Do you still work with them? Like, when I first saw you with Black Doctor, I thought that you were the person of Black Doctor. So I started following you through, with that. So I just wanted to know, what exactly do you do with the Black Doctor? Because I truly admire that movement. I really do. Every live video that comes on, I'm on it,
Oh, that is awesome to know. Thank you. I had no idea that that's how you actually discovered me. BlackDoctor.org and I connected probably 2 to 2.5 years ago. Okay. Again, going back to initially owning a nonprofit, we had an expose, and through that, one of the connections was a person who told me they were a writer for an online or a couple of online sites. And just people are so kind and thoughtful, I find, in knowing what I do. So folks oftentimes will send me referrals and linkages to other people. And this came through one of those connections where someone told me they were writing for an online site and they knew I was a mental health practitioner. So they thought it would be a good idea to connect me to somebody that has a larger platform. And we connected to blackdoctor.org. I don't know how much at the time they were doing with regard to mental health, but I do know they wanted to expand what they were doing. And we had a conversation. They liked my idea that I pitched to them. And I started off initially doing on their site what I was doing on my blog for my nonprofit, which was presenting weekly mental health mythbusters, I called them. And this way people could literally just take one mythbuster per segment and retweet it or reshare it. So they liked the idea. It was quick, straight to the point, not too wordy, and then it expanded into actual articles that included research evidence, some vignettes regarding patient care. And for about a year, I was a writer with blackdoctor.org, and they celebrated their anniversary, I think about 2 years ago, a big anniversary, and they had 1 million followers at that point, and they have continued to grow. So we've done some online videos for Google Hangout, for their YouTube channel. They've worked with other colleagues of mine who have gone on to do bigger and great things. And although I'm not working with them anymore, we still keep in touch. I still support what they do. A couple of other colleagues of mine have become writers for them who are social or mental health advocates. And that's kind of where it's gone. Because one of the articles that I wrote for them a couple of years ago got picked up on BBC.com. It's just grown even more. People like yourself will come back and say, oh, I saw your article online, or I saw something that was shared on Black Doctor. And a year plus after some of the articles were published, I'll still get shared. I'll still see people reposting stuff and resharing stuff, which is amazing because it shows you how important the work was and how invested people were in reading those types of stories. So I've gotten a couple of calls from people who found my work on that site too.
Okay.
So thank you for that.
Yes. Now that the life coaching has started to become like is more populated. Let's say a lot of people are starting to become life coaches every day. So how do you keep fresh? How do you keep the content fresh? How do you just keep to be authentic?
That's a great question. I think for everyone who's doing this work, because social media really determines your likability, your response time to people getting to know you and to follow you or not follow you or stay interested or show up no longer interested. I do a lot of self-work. It's not new. I've been involved in self-work, I would say, before I was a teenager. I did a lot of introverted, intuitive work when I was in my pre-teenage years. And that work continued through my teenage years, where I started doing social advocacy in my teens. When I became a young adult and entered college, I was doing social services work because I was in nursing school. I used to do work with the homeless. I used to volunteer my time with families and kids who are HIV positive. So I've been doing stuff in communities that are considered at-risk or vulnerable for more than 2 decades. And it just hasn't changed. I think what often happens with the advent of social media is that people see stuff on social media and assume you just started doing that because they just know of you from there and they know of your work at that point and think that that's when the inception of your work or personal or professional work began. And that's not the case for me. So it never stopped. I do self-work every single day. And for me, the content is fresh because it's authentic to my life experience. So a lot of times when I'm posting things on social media, I'm speaking to myself foremost, and then the communities and people that are around me, people that I know, people that I work with, people that are in my circles of influence. So to stay fresh really is about connecting with me every single day, being in touch and attuned with where I am, and giving that material to people because I know on a human level, we're all very connected, and most of us are going through or have gone through the same experiences, so it's not unique to me because I'm sharing it. It's unique or no longer unique to other people because they're hearing it. It makes people more connected, and I've always been a community builder. So if I'm going through it or someone outside is going through something and I post it, it's sometimes refreshing to hear it outside of your head, and that's why people connect to it. So for me, when I got to a certain point in mental health, and I've been doing mental health work for 17 years, it just became natural for me to evolve into doing more work that's expansive. So when I went back to school and became certified as a life coach, it wasn't necessarily a new brand of work for me. It was an extension of my existing work. And I tell people who come my way, it's very different than therapy. I'm not evaluating you or diagnosing you or doing treatment per se, but I am helping you to establish your goals up front like I do with people in therapy. In that way, I do actively listen. I do go for the underlying meanings. But I'm not thinking, okay, this might be anxiety, or this might be psychosis, or this might be something else. I'm literally working with where you are in the here and now and what you're motivated and committed to doing, not interested in doing, but committed to doing, and how can we together develop a plan of action that you're ready to go full force in executing. So it's exciting, it's brief, it's very time limited, and people find it worthwhile because you see transformation happening with folks all the time. So for me, the freshness comes in living my life on purpose, doing the things that I love and enjoy, spending time with people that I care about, carving out time in my week with work like I do anything else, whether it's working out, spending time with family, taking time off, traveling. All of that, living life is what keeps it fresh.
Agreed.
True, very true. I want to go back to the self-work that you spoke about a few minutes ago. And just kind of, there's a lot of people that don't really understand self-work or how they can put self-work into their everyday life. So is there any tips or anything that you can tell some women of color out there that are listening, womenors of all color, specifically womenors? What can you tell them about self-work and how can they, get that into their everyday practices?
Mm-hmm. I appreciate that question because before I started doing coaching, I used to hear a lot of things that sounded so ethereal, and it didn't help me because I never felt as though folks would give very concrete answers, and that's what I actually work with people to do. And as a behavioralist, challenging people on the way they think and they behave and think of themselves and their lives that they lead. So how I would phrase that is for people who are running and managing a business or starting a business and growing it, it is very difficult to maintain what you're doing every day as an entrepreneur and also having other responsibilities in your life, whether you're raising a family or taking care of loved ones outside of your nuclear family, so your parents, or you're taking care of someone else's children and you're working as well as building a business or expanding your business. There's different levels of entrepreneurship. And I have found what worked for me is I took my experiences from other jobs that taught me how to organize my time, how to run meetings, how to schedule meetings, how to talk to clients and customers. I took all of that previous work experience and I literally applied it to my business. So I was very attentive in that way. And as I left those companies, I took all of that skill training and knowledge with me and applied it to the work that I'm doing. So I would say, number one, if you're working for someone else while you're building or starting a business, use where you are to get to where you're going. Take none of it for granted because it's all working in your favor to prepare you for the next level of your growth and your leap into entrepreneurship. So that's number one. Take everything that you're doing and receiving now and apply it to your present and your future. So that's number one. The other thing that I did once I became an entrepreneur, and I spent numerous hours day in and day out working for myself and building the practice and building the systems, is I made sure that I created systems that helped me to run my day-to-day business. So that was one. So that's all part of self-work, right? Because as an entrepreneur, you're wearing a lot of different hats in the beginning when you're trying to raise funds or create a service or a product that's going to sell so you can generate income that eventually you will live off of and pay employees. So you have to look at how do you run this business as well. Self-work is included in that too. So how do you want to lead? Do you want to be a particular leader? What's your style of leadership? There's books out there on different styles of leadership, and I think it's important for people to invest in their knowledge bank and to be able to go to classes and take online classes and take face-to-face classes as well as to get books. So that was part of my self-work as well. When I first started in my business, I looked up free courses. I didn't have tons of money to sit down and take classes or go to school to become a business manager. I went to the SBA, the Small Business Administration, and took free classes on spreadsheets, on finances and budget, on social media marketing. They had that listed through their SBA.gov site that I tell my clients now, go to your local SBA.gov and register for free classes in your community. They're out there available to you. So I did that self-work as well because I knew I didn't have all the skills and I needed to know how to do it, and I couldn't afford my own coach to train me on it, so I had to learn somehow. And then as well, I'm very disciplined. Naturally, I'll say I was cultivated rather to be very disciplined, and that discipline helps me in maintaining a sense of pride and integrity in my work. So I literally calendar every single thing. I calendar time into my days off, what I'm going to spend it doing. I carve in time to a calendar time for family time in and out of state. I calendar time for vacations in advance. I calendar all of that stuff so that helps me as well to invest in my wealth and my health, because if you're not well enough to run a business, and I mean well in terms of your mental status isn't well, your physical status isn't well, you don't have the resources around you to help you to do what you need to do as well as run other responsibilities, it's not going to be a successful practice. So that's self-work too. And then more as important to all of that, now that things are much smoother in many ways, I'm not doing everything on my own. I have the support of a team. I delegate. That's really important too, to understand, again, what your leadership style is, what type of leader you want to become or to be with your current team, and trust the people that work for you to do their job. And that's something I'm constantly working on. It's not something I'm perfecting just yet, but it's something that I'm working on because it's my baby. So it's very, very close to my heart that nothing goes wrong or gets messed up. So I always work at trying to make the team better so that we're all functioning well, doing what we do best. And so that's really important to your self-work too, because as you hire people or you acquire people to volunteer for you, you have to be able to settle into trusting them to do what you hired them or brought them on board to do. And that means as well being aware of who you are and who your team members are, cultivating them, and understanding that from a different level of psychology as well. Like, okay, this is what we have to all do to make this whole engine function to the best of its ability. So that's part of your self-work too. And making sure that if at all anything else is equally important to those things, taking time for you. And people seem to think that that's really challenging when you're running your business. But if you don't make taking time alone, whether it's 5 minutes in the morning to just sit in silence and allow feedback to come in about, okay, what do I need to do today? How did I run yesterday? What was my conversation like with this person? Was I my best self? Did I say the things I needed to say? How many times was I able to say thank you or please or acknowledge somebody for doing a really good job? You know, spending that time just to be without people distracting you, objects, entities around you, taking your time and attention away and just being with yourself and allowing feedback to just come into you, that's really, really helpful. And so it sets my day off for the next thing that I have to do or the next series of things that I have to do. And so those are the different steps that I've taken. I continue to take. I write things down. I make sure I calendar things. I make sure that I spend time with myself. I carve out space for people I love and care about, including myself. And I make sure that every day I run this engine the best way that I can with the structure and systems I put in place and with a team of people that believe in my mission, see my vision, and I can trust.
We definitely agree. We always are big advocates for taking time for yourself and reflection and gratitude and all, and a lot of the things that you mentioned. So that was great to hear. We have a mantra on the show that we call the purpose formula. And basically what the purpose formula is a combination of purpose, passion, and profit, and how you feel that those things have contributed to your success. So purpose, passion, profit equals success. Could you tell us what you think your purpose formula is?
Yeah, so I knew a very long time ago that I had a certain lot to leave. And what I mean by that is I didn't necessarily know 20 plus years ago how I would spend my life in service, but I knew it would be in service. And I tried several routes, which really led me to the same place, because I knew from 4 years old I wanted to be a nurse. I applied to nursing school, was accepted to nursing school, did 2 years of nursing school. I actually did not complete nursing school. I went on to take an exam and didn't pass it, and I had to stay another year if I was to go back and start over again. And I was like, no, I'm on this trajectory. I don't want to stay here another year to take a course over. So I went into human services and finished my 4-year degree in 4 years with a human services degree. Right after that, I went into my master's of social work. Right after that, I went and studied for my licensure exam and passed my licensure exam. Went into psychotherapy in an outpatient clinic. A couple years after that, I went back to school, got my post-analytic certification in graduate psychoanalysis. After that, I went and got my certification in life coaching. So for me, I always knew my purpose was to serve. I knew later, I would say within the last several years, that my purpose is to heal. So it's a combination of service and healing. And I use myself every day with my clients as a tool for me to witness their recovery through self-actualization. I use myself as a tool to help witness the pain and trauma that no one's ever acknowledged. I help people see fulfillment in life through the actualization of their dreams. And I continue to grow in that. So for me, my purpose is always to serve, heal, and to lead. And I'm still coming to grips with that leadership part, because I always wanted to be sort of in my corner, doing my own thing, not supervising, not overseeing, just doing my thing. So I'm coming more into my own by accepting that I'm also a leader. So that's my purpose. And my passion has always been to literally lead by example, and not with the intention of I'm the example, but to lead as an example for myself as to who I want to be and how I want to be my best self. And for me, that was inspiring to me. That was me also looking at other women that I admired and I could emulate in some ways, but also make sure that I'm in my own lane. So for me, that was the next part. And what was the last one? It was purpose, passion,
profit, and success.
And profit. So in terms of, I guess, the way I'm understanding profit is, I think of profit in a couple of ways. Financially, of course, I do believe, this is something I definitely want to highlight, that women should not be shy to demand the money they deserve to do what they do. And too often, especially as clients I've coached, mostly women, there's this coyness around talking about dollars and cents when it comes to budget and when it comes to demand on their service. And it's almost the last thing they want to discuss when they start thinking about clients and what they want to charge, what they can charge, what the market is charging. And I say, you know, if you add up all your years of experience and training and what you've spent in your training, there's no reason to be shy when you have to set the dollar amount on what your product or your service is, right? When the government comes back to ask you for that reimbursement check, they're not shy to ask you for that. They'll even, assume your tax income, your tax, return if they don't get paid. So it's like other people are not shy. Men are not shy to ask for the dollar amount on what they offer and what they have in their expertise. Women should not feel the same. Women should feel the same way. To be able to stand on your own, to know that you have something that's purposeful, but not in an arrogant way, not in the way where you haven't put in the work behind it so that you can ask for that dollar amount, but that you continue to know that if you have invested the time, the experience, and the knowledge and expertise goes into backing up what you provide, then definitely ask for what you need and what you want, and to know that even in service, you don't have to be coy. I do what I do as a mental health provider first and foremost, and as a coach. And people sometimes have said to me in the past, like, oh my gosh, like, well, aren't you a therapist? Shouldn't you basically not be charging clients? And I'm just baffled by that question. People in the pulpit don't go without a salary, do they? And they're driving around in cars bigger than your house. So I just don't agree with that. I think people should be willing to take the time to research what their industry is charging, speak to your cohorts, and know what it is that you can charge, and don't be coy about it. So I think profit that way first and foremost, and I also think profit in terms of reward, non-financial reward. And I get a lot of profit out of the rewards that my clients are happy. Most of them that come to coaching come thinking one way and leaving a completely different way, doing dynamic things in their lives after we've coached. I've coached them, seeing people creating new blueprints for their lives and leaving legacies that they never could have imagined. So when I do coaching work and I see people transform, there's nothing like that. That's a profit for me that has no dollar amount, because I take that and that's carved in my memory, that's carved in my heart, the feeling that I get from that. So I think of profit in that way too, and to me, yeah, all that together equals success.
Definitely.
Awesome.
That was an awesome answer. A lot of people get kind of stuck on that, and you combined everything so beautifully.
Yes,
so
very informative. Very informative. So what's next for Asha Terry?
A lot of things. So there's three arms. I'm a creative, let me just say that, and my mind is never not working. So I'm always doing things that are inspiring, exciting to me, and that's exciting for me, and it's also sometimes insanity because there's all this energy I have around what I want to do and what I can do and what I'd like to see myself doing. But I don't give up. I know that everything that I want to achieve, I will. And that's just been the way I've lived my life since I was 12 years old. So for me, what's next is some of what I had done in the past, I'm actually just going to bring to the forefront of the media's eye, which includes more group facilitation and presentations and public speaking. I've done stuff on national radio for several years and public access television shows. What I want to do next is do more nationally based syndicated television, talking more about mental health, of course. I would love to do some more large group coaching, so that's the next thing that we're working on, more speaking engagements. And the three parts that I started off saying in the beginning that are the arms of my work are psychotherapy, because I've been doing that for so long. That was the beginning of the behavioral health brand. It's expanded into life coaching, so we'll be doing a lot more life coaching groups, having our village membership-only group, which is available soon to the public. And third, and I would say probably the most important thing for me personally, is expanding my social justice and social advocacy work. I have some great colleagues and friends that have already worked with me to bring social justice to the forefront in terms of healing communities of color through dialogue and empowerment, giving them tools to work with. So all of us from similar backgrounds in terms of the work that we've done in the communities, but in special ways. We'll be collaborating together very soon. We're putting together a proposal for a large entertainment figure that we're really excited to work with to pitch that person and have them join us. That probably within the next 12 months, we'll be doing that work on a national scale through a tour. And that's to just continue in the vein of helping communities of color to dialogue about social injustice, economic injustice, educational injustice, mental health injustice. So we're looking forward to that. We're going to have people on a panel style presenting information, but also having resources available to people and to drive the traffic back to the communities in which we all work to continue to help people to avail themselves of our services and our products. So those three things, psychotherapy, life coaching, and the national advocacy work, is really the next arm of the work that I'll be expanding. Actually, this spring, we'll be doing another follow-up to one of the brands that I have called Black People Speak. And that's been an exciting forum for me that I started last summer, and that'll continue. So there's lots more to come in terms of seeing me as a coach on a larger scale, coaching people through activating their power, speaking more on a national scale, and being in the forefront of the media a lot more.
That sounds great. Be sure to let us know when those things are launching, because we can promote it on out to our audience and let our audience know of these things that you have going on as well.
Sure will.
Yes.
So, Asha, where can you be reached? Where can our crushes get a hold of you, and how can they contact you and see all the great work you're doing?
Well, we have a new site we just launched that I'm super thrilled to talk about, because we spent a lot of time working on it, and it's my new brand under the behavioral health brand, and it's lifecoachasha.com, so people can go to the new site, take a look at it, take a tour. We always welcome feedback. They can email me through lifecoachasha@gmail.com, but I'm always posting up as well on social media. So if you're on social media, you can follow my handles on Twitter. I'm at Asha Tarry, and that's ASHA, T like Tom, ARRY, so that's ASHATARRY. I'm also on LinkedIn under the same name, Asha Tarry, and I'm also using Instagram, Asha Tarry Mental. So those are the three ways that you can reach out to me on social media every day. You can send me a DM. I always prefer people to email me just to protect your privacy a little bit more. So you can send it to lifecoachasha@gmail.com. But I think if you follow me those three ways on social media, you'll get daily inspiration. You'll get information on upcoming events that I have, from face-to-face events to free events to nominal fee events. That's the best way for people to contact me. So I would tell them to go there first and foremost. I'm really pushing that forward more so than in my therapy practice, because we're bursting at the seams. We're constantly getting referrals for therapy. We're taking on clients. I love it. It's a great honor. But we have to pump the brakes on that as well, because we literally can't service any more people. We have clients that are in individual therapy, have clients that are in group therapy, have clients on a wait list. So we want to be able to respect how much work I can take on, as well as my colleagues that are coming on board that we have to onboard, and then, find people appropriate services elsewhere through other referral sources that I have. So as we grow with that, we're good for now, but we want people to know about the coaching. It's short term. I think people will get a lot out of it as well. And that doesn't have to be, I don't have to be confined to New York to do it. So because I'm licensed in New York as a practitioner, you have to practice in the state in which you're licensed. So I'm licensed here in New York for psychotherapy, so I respect those boundaries and I work here for that. But with life coaching, I'm international. I've had clients in Asia, so that offers in the UK. So that's something that I can do cross lines with people. So whether it's virtual or some stuff that we are doing on location for people who are VIP clients, that's available to them now.
Okay, Asha, thank you. Awesome.
Thank you.
So our crushes know where to reach you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and
we're going to keep following each other and supporting you. Thank you so much, Asha.
Thank you both. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for tuning in to the Womanora Crush Wednesday podcast. Be sure to tune in next week for Girl Talk with Jen and Modi, along with some of your favorite business crushes, more exclusive business tips, insights, creative business ideas, and doable action steps to improve your business and help you create your phenomenal life. Sharing is caring. Don't forget to tell a friend to subscribe and stay tuned for a weekly dose of the WCW podcast. Crushing hard on the Womanora and want to hear her story on the show? Know a creative woman-owned business that's killing it? Let us know at womanoracrushwednesday@gmail.com.